What's going on, agents? It's LtBuzzLitebeer, and today I am recapping and condensing the State of the Game address for the Division 2 that went live earlier today, January 22nd. So let's get started. Hamish conducted the stream along with guests Bruce and Frederick, who were there for technical discussions and presentations. Now, the only priority alert was a bug that was fixed during yesterday's maintenance that was allowing players to get into areas of the DZ that they should not have been able to and shoot other players from behind walls. But according to their information, this is now fixed. For the first bit of today's stream, the team gave a brief recap of last week's address where they discussed Loot 2.0, or as they referred to it, the gear reboot. But after this was done, they immediately jumped into today's subject, recalibration. The idea behind this new recalibration mechanic is to help clear out the clutter we currently have in our stashes. I mean, right now we are all forced to hoard specific pieces of gear with unusually high attribute rolls in the hopes that we can then roll that attribute onto another piece of gear that we want to use. Now, as an example, if I find an Alps chest piece with, say, 1000 skill power and the other attributes are really low, or it has the wrong talent, I would just stuff that piece into my stash and save it until I found the ideal chest piece with the right talent and then roll that 1000 skill power roll onto it, therefore making a piece I could use with my build. It all sounds good in theory, but what it leads to is agents hoarding massive amounts of gear they can't use simply for that one decent talent or attribute role it possesses. The new proposals to this recalibration system will do away with this need to hoard gear and will introduce a stat library. Now, if I find a piece of gear with an unusually high attribute roll, I can deconstruct it for that specific attribute roll and it will save permanently into my library, where I can then use it over and over again on all my future gear. Now let me give you an example and then we will listen to it being described by Thylander from today's stream. Let's say I find a pair of knee pads with a bonus armor roll of 11%, and I want to keep that in my library as it's a pretty good roll. I can choose to deconstruct those knee pads, therefore destroying them, and that 11% bonus armor roll will stay permanently in my library. I can use that roll unlimited times on as many knee pads as I want to recalibrate from that point forward. But then I find a pair of knee pads with 11.5% bonus armor. What then? Well, I could deconstruct those and my library would update from 11 to 11.5%, essentially overriding the first entry, and I would then be able to use the 11.5% rolls unlimited amounts of times. Now with this new system, we will be able to recalibrate talents, stats, core stats, and even mod slots. Let's take a listen to Frederick and Bruce and watch their discussion.
So here you kind of can, this is just the normal recalibration where you can go into any of the categories because you want to recalibrate a weapon or a mask or whatever, right?
Sure.
But you can see the tab up top, you have a library where you can look at your collection. Like how many attributes have I extracted? How many talents have I found for each of these categories? These numbers are whatever, they're from an artist. They're not the real number of talents or attributes that exist on things. Just can't stress that enough. They're just placeholder numbers.
You get the idea though.
So you go in and you go like, okay, I'm gonna look at my masks. Okay, so I've already found this much weapon damage, this much armor, this skill tier, which we'll get to.
Oh, no, that's not our mouse, that's someone else's mouse.
On masks.
It's a production mouse.
It's a production mouse. And I can go, you know what? I can see here that there's an improvement available for like the armor roll.
Can we bring that full screen just so we can...
Yeah, I mean, our faces aren't quite as interesting.
No. There we go.
There you go.
Nice.
So you can go in and go like, okay, there's apparently I have something that I can extract and get a better armor roll. So you go in and you go like, okay, here's all my masks that have armor core rolls. And you'll select the one you want to extract from. And you'll see like, oh, this is going to improve by some amount. You extract it and that destroys it, just like recalibration has always destroyed like the source material. And then, unfortunately, I don't have more screenshots. Then that roll, that armor roll, is available to put on all masks forever, right?
Now, just to be clear, this new Recal system does not allow you to endlessly mod a specific piece of gear, but rather to break a rule within the parameters of that set. Now, for example, if I really needed another offensive core attribute, and so let's say my Gilligard mask could only be looted with defensive core attributes, I could recal the blue to red at the recal bench and really dial in my build. Now, you will still need to find the correct gear with the correct core attributes, stats, and mods, and at the appropriate levels before you decide to recal your item, as you won't be able to go in and change 3 or 4 items on that piece of gear all at once. FYI, as of right now, the dev team is leaning towards the stat library being character bound versus account bound. So if you grab some seriously high recal stats into your main character's library, it looks like they will not be available at first for your alts. Now, the other major news update for today had to do with the introduction of skill tiers, which will take the place of skill power, and how skills will scale directly with it. Skill tiers are only available as a core attribute, and a single skill tier point is only available on each gear piece. So, 6 gear pieces and 6 total skill tiers is how this new system will work. This will remove the need for skill power as an attribute role on your gear and will instead reward your character with steadily more powerful skills the more skill tier points you invest into. This is going to help further define roles in this game, as in order to reach the highest level of skill tier 6, you will need to forego DPS or armor as your core attribute and essentially go full electronics like we used to in Div 1. Each skill tier will have a defined set of unlocks for your desired skill, so as you invest more into skill tiers as your core gear attribute, your, for example, turret would gain higher and higher levels of damage, health, and haste. Each skill has clearly defined steps that apply to that type of skill, but in general, the higher your skill tier, your skill will gain more ammo, radius, duration, health, damage, or other items relevant to that particular skill. Skill mods will still exist and you will be able to equip them onto your skills, but instead of being the sole driving factor for how powerful your skills are, they will add small bonuses, just like they did in Div 1. This will make the driving force determining your skill strength the skill tiers and core attributes versus the looting of skill mods and needing skill power levels to unlock and use them. Skill mods will no longer require specific skill power levels for them to activate, so you won't need to keep around one for your character with 1000 skill power and a whole nother set for your character with 2000 skill power. You'll just need your highest level mods, which is definitely a positive change. Let's take a listen to the stream team here as they discuss what I just narrated to you concerning skill tiers and how they will function.
So straight up, like you equip this item that has skill tier on it, which is only available as a core attribute.
Right.
You improve your skills directly. No modding or anything required to scale.
So I'm going to ask some dumb questions. These pair of gloves will add +1 to your skill tier.
Yeah. And there's 6 skill tiers. That's why there's little segments to the bar.
Are there items that will add more than 1 to your skill tier?
No, not currently.
All right, so there's not like a magical longbow +3.
Because that means you can wear 6 pieces. If you wear all 6 pieces yellow or white with skill tier, then you have skill tier 6 and the most powerful skills.
But we do have some mechanics that you'll get into that can play with your skill tiers.
Obviously, this is the base of it, and then we toy with it.
Because there's over 9,000 level, pretty much, right? Like
there's
something beyond skill tier 6 that we'll talk about soon.
So anyway, you equip this, and you'll see in your summary, you'll see skill tier go up. You'll see like your whole skill tier there, and then you can look at your skills. In this case, a turret, and see, oh, I'm in tier 2. This is how good my turret is now.
Okay.
And that's like pretty straightforward. Every skill has a different setup for what it scales. I think the next screenshot is, just a Reinforcer Chem Launcher. So that has other stats that scale when you have higher skill tiers, right? So really straightforward. If you're wearing a lot of yellows, your skills will be very good.
Okay.
Right?
Going, just a question I see here. So you have ammo, radius, duration, and health, or heal, sorry, over the 6 skill tiers for this, are there any different variables, or are they the same variables at different levels? Or does it mechanically change?
Well, you get what's on that tier, not that tier and all above.
Yeah.
So they do have the same, but later they might add even more powerful things in the later tiers for some of them.
Different variables, or just higher amounts?
It could be like, okay, at tier 4 and above, this thing gets like plus range or something, only for like high skill tier users.
Interesting.
There is also a new overcharge skill tier that can be reached temporarily, which seems to do insane things to your skills for short and controlled periods of time. Overcharge can be reached through the use of some exotics or specific gear talents, but the particulars of this are not yet clearly defined, so look for more information concerning this overcharge mechanic and how to activate it in the near future. Battery mods will seemingly be deleted from the game and will no longer be a part of the skill power game. Towards the end of today's State of the Game address, there were 2 developer interviews, which featured Trick Dempsey and Nikki Cuppins, which I will show you now, and then I will come back for a brief moment.
So who are you and what do you do here?
I'm Trick Dempsey. I'm a senior game designer on The Division 2. I mostly work in the open world and invasions and generally end-game content. So the thing that you do after you've beaten the campaign and after you've completed the first invasion, although technically I guess that's also mine. But generally all of that stuff.
Perfect. So the question we've got today is regarding control points, and in particular, why do some activities disappear when you're in the process of leveling up a control point?
So anytime any activity starts, the control point says, oh, I will be satisfied that this activity is complete after a certain amount of time. Generally, those are not the longest amount of time, so that's 5-10 minutes. But once that timer is exhausted, it says, we've done the job now, as long as they have not entered combat, which will halt the timer, but also entering combat, the moment all hostiles are clear, they are satisfied that they've completed their jobs. And that means that they've finished gathering their resources, murdering a bunch of civilians, satisfied that they've just secured an area completely. And generally, if you see those activities disappear off the map, it is because you are a failure. You have failed the people of DC, and you should have known that you could not save everyone.
My name is Nikki Cuppins, and I'm a senior game designer on the economy and progression team for the Division 2.
So we have a question regarding Dark Zone caches in particular, and the question is, can we get named items like weapons and gear from those Dark Zone caches?
Yeah, for sure. You can get the specific ones that are made for, or to come only from the Dark Zone, and also some that are both from the open world outside of the Dark Zone and the Dark Zone. So that's an overlapping pool, and there's the Dark Zone specific pool, and you can get either of those weapons and gear pieces from the field proficiency caches. So you have each field proficiency cache gives you one weapon that can be a named weapon, and then one gear piece that can be a named gear piece, and that's the same for the non-Dark Zone field proficiency cache, but those are of course from a different pool, because there you can get the non-Dark Zone specific ones as well.
So another question to throw on top of that, to surprise you, can both of the items within those caches be named?
If you're very lucky, yeah, they can be. They roll independently, so you can get a named weapon and a named gear piece at the same time. And for the non-Dark Zone field proficiency cache, you actually have the bonus item as well. That can also be a named item.
So if you're super lucky, you could get 3.
Yes, if that happens, send me a screenshot.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect, thank you.
I think overall this new system has potential and could help push players to make choices about their builds, as far as skill power, tank, DPS, and could really help foster much more build diversity. As a lover of skill power, I look forward to seeing what kind of crazy builds I can put together, and I really look forward to the stat library system and highest skill mod mechanics, as this will really clean up the need for constant inventory management. Alright agents, this feels like a good place to end this one, so as always, I look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments section below. If you were not already a sub, please take just a second and smash that sub button and click on the bell icon to receive all notifications from my YouTube channel. If you could also take the time to rate the video with a thumbs up or down, it would be greatly appreciated. If you are interested in supporting my content and channel, I will include links to my Teespring Buzz merchandise store and Patreon page in the video description below. If you want to follow me on Twitter for all my latest thoughts on most things gaming related, here is my Twitter ID. Until my next video upload, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.